Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Newsroom. I'm your host, Khalid. But today is Monday, the 3rd of October 2022, and these are the stories that we will be discussing in detail in the course of the show. We'll begin with the latest as far as the relief and rehabilitation work after the floods, the devastating floods that have engulfed 1/3 of Pakistan is concerned. Around 33 million people have been affected. Scores of children have been affected. Then the disease, then the outbreak of other issues, mental and physical. And also a latest report that has come from the United Nations that says that the situation is going to exacerbate food insecurity as well as disease in all the different provinces that have been affected the most because of the floods. It's an alarming situation, although the government and the private institutions and the NGOs are doing their utmost. Nevertheless, much more is needed to take Pakistan out of this current crisis. This is going to be our leading segment of the day. Then we are going to discuss, ladies and gentlemen, the future and the present of higher education in Pakistan. What needs to be done, what has been done, what are the projects in the pipeline as far as strengthening Pakistan's higher education and the prospects of higher education is concerned. We'll be discussing that in detail in our second segment. Then we'll be talking about the Foreign Office that has today categorically rejected the Indian External Affairs Minister, Mr. Jaishankar's remarks insinuating that Pakistan was involved in international terrorism. This is following a comment that came out from Mr. Jaishankar concerning Pakistan as a hub of international terrorism rather. So this is going to be our third story. And finally, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to talk about Indonesia's government that has called on the country's police on Monday to identify and punish whoever has been responsible for the stampede that killed 125 people in Indonesia and has injured around 323 others. This is going to be our last story. Let's begin with our first segment, ladies and gentlemen, that concerns the flood situation in Pakistan. It's devastating. A lot of people have been affected. The government is trying to do its utmost. So are the private institutions and the NGOs. But much more is needed. More in the following report.
Unprecedented floods in Pakistan pose myriad daunting challenges as flood waters recede. An accurate damage assessment is underway. Agricultural land inundated by flooding is set to have long-term humanitarian and economic impacts upon Pakistan as billions of dollars worth of rice, sugar and wheat have already been lost. A latest UN report estimates that a situation is expected to exacerbate food insecurity in the flood-hit provinces. Prior to flood-induced disaster, the World Health Organization estimated that 16% of the population was living in moderate or severe food insecurity. The United Nations Humanitarian Agency is warning that about 5.7 million Pakistani flood survivors will face a serious food crisis in the next 3 months as the death toll from the deluge rose. Pakistan's National Disaster Management Authority reported that floods fueled by abnormally heavy monsoon rains have killed 1,695 people, affected 33 million, damaged more than 2 million homes and displaced hundreds of thousands now living in tents or makeshift homes. In order to expedite relief and rehabilitation of flood victims, Pakistan Floods Response Plan was launched on August 30th, appealing for $160.3 million to cover the most urgent needs of 5.2 million people in need.
A lot of people are in need for basic needs. Pakistan is doing its utmost, but it needs much more and a lot of help from the international quarters. Will that help come? Will Pakistan be able to stand back on its own 2 feet? And how long will it take Pakistan to come out of this current crisis? We've been joined by Sarmad Iqbal, environmental lawyer, Islamic relief representative in the studios to talk more about that very issue. Thank you very much, Sarmad, to have joined us. Sarmad, when you look at the statistics and of course the United Nations report that has come that talks about food insecurity and disease that is going to exacerbate in the days to come. It is already there. We are already seeing the waterborne diseases, dysentery, malaria, scores of people that have been affected by it, especially in Sindh. And in the days ahead with winter coming, this is going to further exacerbate. How can Pakistan cope with it?
Well, thank you, Omar, for bringing in this very important topic of food insecurity and our upcoming major crisis post-flood or the aftermath or in the aftermath of flood. The issue in Pakistan is that we need to actually look at this whole picture in its holistic form. The challenges that we were faced prior to flood also culminated from the plannings that we were doing. There were some areas which were actually being planned in a 360 or a holistic manner, and some areas there were loopholes or grey areas that needed to be bridged. The current situation in Pakistan with regards to food security challenges has been there prior to the flood. Our crops were basically reducing its, the quantity. The quality was being compromised as well. At the same time, the changing patterns were actually hitting our farmers very hard. On top of that, the modification in seeds, the seasons not suiting the seeds, the crops being grown in an area which was not suitable for those seeds. So all these challenges culminated into a situation which was already alarming with regards to food security or food insecurity, if you might call it. However, as I said, organizations, the government, the technical agencies, even the government's own agriculture departments and agriculture extension and research wings have been saying these things out loud, that we need to actually modify our work, we need to actually move to newer, smarter, climate sensitive agricultural patterns by bringing in new technologies, innovations. But nevertheless, it's a challenging situation when it comes to adopting new technologies and convincing the farmers to actually.
The fact is, it's not only challenging to convince the farmers, it is also equally challenging to put them back in the situation that they were a couple of months back, yet that is before the floods happened. Now, I was talking about the United Nations report that has come out. It talks about food insecurity, and this is what we're discussing. I'd like to refer to what Sherry Rahman Sahiba said, who's the Minister for Climate Change, last week. And she said that the government has diverted all the development and climate resilient funds towards the relief of the people, which means that already the money that was allocated for the climate change and associated effects has been diverted. So we're short of funds there as well. Then she said, she also talked about food insecurity, and she said more than 26% of the population in Sindh, Balochistan and Khyber Pakhtunkhwa are going to experience severe food insecurity. Because of course over 4 million acres of agricultural land in total are present in these areas, including swathes of standing crop that have been affected by the floods. Is Pakistan ready to cope with the challenge of food insecurity? And if so, what are the measures that should be taken, are being taken, will be taken?
Well, to add on to what the Honorable Minister said, the figure has gone up to 5.02 million acres of land that is underwater.
In a week's time.
In a week's time. And that is approximately going to hit us or our economy or our agriculture very hard. We are going to be faced with numerous challenges apart from providing food to the already existing masses in the country. The situation is not very convincing right now, as we see. However, measures are being taken with the support of government, with the support of partners, with the support of organizations that are working in Pakistan who are focused on revitalizing the livelihoods and rebuilding the lives of these affected communities, have been trying really hard. Our diaspora has been stepping up with more commitments to organizations, the government. However, the challenge will still remain on two fronts. One, how do we sow the land when it is already underwater? The second, how are we going to rebuild the lives of people if the water does not dry up? Those are the two critical questions that need to be answered. But before going into those questions, we actually need to think about the people where they are right now. How can we provide for their food? How can we provide for something that is giving them nutrition, that is giving strength to their children, that is giving strength to the pregnant and lactating women? That needs to be our top priority, and organizations like Islamic Relief and others are trying their level best to ensure that the food basket remains going by injecting the food baskets into the communities where they can access them and even hard to reach areas.
All right, Sarmad, you talk of communities. Let's talk about the communities of Pakistanis in Pakistan who are well off and those who are outside Pakistan, the expatriates. Do you feel the response from them as a result of the floods has been underwhelming, overwhelming? Does more need to come from their end? And what about the response from the international organizations and like the United Nations, like different other countries? Do you feel they need to step up their efforts as well as far as Pakistan is concerned?
Well, to answer your first questions, our worthy brothers and sisters out of the country, or the diaspora that we call them, have been very generous. The funds that have been generated by just Islamic relief have amounted to around 17 million pounds. And 50% of that 17 million came from the diaspora, the generous people who want to help their brothers and sisters in the country. However, the need is really high. Just a couple of days ago, I was reading a report which stated the amount of $262.32 million are required to be injected just for the response of ensuring food security and livelihood, let alone the 30 billion call by the UN Secretary General, by the Prime Minister of Pakistan. The amount that is required is soaring. It's really inflating. We need to have a lot of money to actually rebuild the lives of people.
But is that money, do you feel that money is going to come to Pakistan in due time, before it's way too late for Pakistan to take care of its crises? Because there's not one crisis, there are multiple crises.
The issue is that we need to actually bring this issue to the table where the decisions are being made. One, at the UN tables, or the UN meetings where the decisions about climate financing, about risk financing, about the commitments that the polluters have made to put money where the impacts are being seen. And the second thing is about educating the masses in terms of what measures are being taken by the national governments to actually protect these people, to actually make them resilient, to actually save them. And as I remember when in the last show when I mentioned that the injection of approximately 3 crore rupees by Islamic Relief in Balochistan to build one protection wall which saved around 160 houses, acres of land, standing crops, amounted to approximately $130 million worth of saving. By just injecting 3 crore, we could save 5 villages, acres of land, acres of crops.
And you are just one organization, and I'm sure there are so many other organizations just like yours that are working diligently to help those people in need. But Pakistan needs much more. All the efforts that you can put in can only help a certain amount of people. The total number of people that exceeds in the tens of millions can't be helped by the NGOs in Pakistan alone. There needs to be a help from the United Nations. I know there's going to be another pledge for funds very, very soon in the coming days by the UN. Then, but the fact remains that the funds that were asked last time, the pledges that were made, didn't really result into tangible action. Is the world not reacting like it should, in your point of view?
Well, that's the downside of it. The world in totality is not reacting. However, people who have a heart for those who have been affected by climate change are coming out in numbers. They're pouring money, but that money is not enough to actually address the needs of the people on the ground. Organizations like us and others are trying their level best to educate those masses. However, the divide in thoughts, the divide in political affiliations, the divide in their affiliations with the country or area has actually contributed to reducing the numbers or sporadic spread of money across the country.
You know, that's a very interesting point that you put up, and that is the sporadic spread, or in the reduction of the proper spread of money to the people that need it the most. And you mentioned many reasons because of this. Now that brings me to two important issues. First, food insecurity and disease that is overwhelming in our country, and then the database that has been put online. We were just discussing that before the show a couple of hours back. So everything is transparent as to where the money is coming from, where it is going. Do you feel that is going to inject some confidence in those who have not been wanting to put their money as far as helping the people in need is concerned?
Well, definitely this government is taking due measures to bring in accountability and transparency to showcase where the money has come from, where it has been injected, to ensure the confidence or to revitalize the confidence of the people who have basically taken a step back from investing or providing the money for this response. However, on the other hand, this transparency is going to take things a long way.
All right.
The UN is going to come up with funds and it's going to be pledging it, and not only pledging it but actually delivering that money.
Let's hope so.
There's huge aid in the pipeline that has been planned for Pakistan, although the discussions are happening at circles where we would soon be hearing about it, inshallah. Some good news probably. The third thing is Pakistani diaspora and businesses across the world. They're also interested in injecting money, but they want to know the money trail or the trail of their funds.
So this is going to be,
and this is going
when everything is going to be online, they will be able to see where all of that money is going.
Yes, exactly. The second thing with regards to the food insecurity and disease, let me take you a couple of months back. A couple of months back, Islamic Relief was planning a drought risk assessment in Balochistan. Currently, the area which suffered flood, we were planning drought assessment to showcase or to highlight the issue of drought and the families and livestock being impacted because of that.
You know, Pakistan is also one of the the countries most liable to be affected by drought by 2025.
Yes, it is. And then all of a sudden, those areas were being responded for a flood response. Now, what we see is in a couple of months' time, we are going to be back where we started, the desertification. The water level is going to go down, there's not going to be any agriculture for quite some time, the people are going to suffer again. So we need to actually think about the holistic response when it comes to...
We need to be future-proof, basically.
Well, we definitely need to be future-proof. We definitely look at the future aspects of it and the changes that are occurring. But having said that, all of us needs to be future-proof as an organization, but as well as the government entities, as well as departments working in the provinces. They need to actually look at, be able to look at 10 years ahead from now, where they'll be standing, where will be what impacts or what issues would be there. And that is why Islamic Relief provided the government of Balochistan with a drought framework a couple of years back to address the issue of drought and how we can sustain this response.
Sarmad, I really hope that organizations such as yours and others really work. I mean, this is the time when we need as much of effort from people like yourself to help those in need. We can only do so much ourselves. We can only give the money, but to actually go to the areas and to help the people in need is a very daunting task. And it's thanks to organizations such as yours that are really working 24/7 in order to bring that change to the people. Really want that Pakistan stands back on its own 2 feet, and that it stands on its own 2 feet, not in the next 10 years, but earlier than that. Thank you very much, Sarmad Iqbal, environmental lawyer, also representative of the Islamic Relief, to have talked to us about the latest situation as far as the floods are concerned, and of course the food insecurity and disease that is going to be a huge issue for Pakistan in the coming weeks. Ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to our second topic, and that is higher education. How important is higher education? Let's begin with education. So many people aren't educated properly, and this is from Malcolm X to all the biggest philosophers have talked about the importance of education. Not only can it bring a change in the society, but also in a nation, in the upbringing, in the mentality of people, and how people can move towards a more stronger society and a more developed one and a stronger nation as well. Education is the basic premises, that basis on which everything stands. If you are educated, you understand things properly. If you are educated, you react to things differently. If you are educated, you can always try new methodology when one doesn't work, because you understand the basis of it all, because you are educated. When it comes to primary education, we have issues concerning that. Other countries have had that as well. A lot of modernization is coming, new syllabi are in the pipeline as well. When it comes to higher education as well, there are a lot of issues with that as well, and a lot of people are very happy with the state of higher education in Pakistan, but there are some concerns as well. And higher education for a country like Pakistan is an extremely important premises for our nation to grow in a much more stronger and efficient manner. How efficient is the whole system of higher education going to be in the days to come? What are the different challenges that higher education has as far as Pakistan is concerned? We've been joined in the studios by Dr. Mukhtar Ahmed, Chairman of the Higher Education Commission. Thank you very much, Dr. Saab. It has been some time that we had talked last, and it's always a pleasure to see you.
Same here. Thank you.
Dr. Saab, higher education. We've talked about that a couple of years back when you were at the same post, and now that you're back. What are the current challenges as far as higher education in Pakistan is concerned?
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Thank you very much, PTV, and thank you, Omar. Good seeing you after a long time. Challenges are almost similar, and there are new challenges every time. Things are changing. At the moment, I think the biggest issue in higher education sector is the quality and governance in Pakistan, of course. And even bigger challenge for the rest of the world and for Pakistan is also the technology transformation, because things are going to change in very expedited way. It is not going to be now decades or centuries that technology is changing it. It's a matter of few weeks, few months now, things are changing. And world is already transforming into non-conventional way of teaching, learning basically. Those conventional way of classroom, proper lecturing, sitting face to face is slowly phasing out. And same time, it is going to be the skill set, not the piece of papers, the degrees basically. Of course, degrees are important. Of course, recognition of those qualifications are important. But same time, the way industry is evolving, the way incubation center and technology parks and the entrepreneurship approach is emerging, the people are going to have more and more short-term courses, more and more skill-based learning rather than
Is the Higher Education Commission also going to update itself as far as its methodologies or the different scholarships that it provides as per the requirement in Pakistan is concerned?
Yes, that is what we are working now, because we are always late basically. But the COVID came in a blessing in disguise that this has pushed us, gave us a big jerk. And that we have to realize that things are moving fast in the rest of the world and why we are still waiting for something to change. So, but that gave us a lesson that no, we have to also move fast and go as the world is moving. So we are now working mainly focusing on the technology transformation, skill-based learning, and research, of course, research basically an impact-based research rather than just paper publishing and going for impact factor or any other indicators. The rest of the world has learned already, and they have shifted already that whatever you do in the education system, whatever research you want
needs to be applicable in real life.
It should be applicable in real life. And it should have a positive impact on the common person life. So that is a good research, that is a good work you are doing. And people in the rest of the world, they are looking toward universities as the beacon house. That whatever problem they are going to face, the universities are there to solve that. Whatever issue the society is facing, the universities are there to settle those issues. So we have to change also. Either we will be history or we have to change.
Dr. Saab, change is always very difficult to implement in any society, whether it be Pakistan or the West. Do you feel that it's going to be an uphill task because this is going to be a radical change as far as the Higher Education Commission and its function is concerned?
No, it is not going to be a radical change, I should say that, because since last so many, we are celebrating 20th anniversary this year, basically birthday, HEC was celebrating in 11th September. So we have done a lot of good work in higher education sector in Pakistan. As far as the technology is concerned, we have one of the best in the region also. And we have the PERN connectivity, we have the cloud computing facility, we have Wi-Fi enabled environment. I think more than 50 universities in public sector, they are already, so we call them smart university, and we have provided them smart classroom concept also. So the ecosystem is evolving, but we need to expedite it.
All right.
It is uphill, you can say it, but same time, I think we can do it.
Of course, nothing is not doable as far as Pakistan, especially when it comes to you and the way you've been working diligently as the chairman HEC is concerned. Entrepreneurship is also a very important need of the hour as far as Pakistan is concerned. Small and medium enterprises need more and more entrepreneurs, need more and more trained personnel. How is the HEC coping with that?
You know, of course, this is part of curriculum now. Also, we are suggesting to university that in each field you should evolve or introduce a smart course of business and entrepreneurship, that people should realize what is the real world. Because whatever we are doing, it should come to the market basically, not only business purpose, but it should have a real impact on society. The same time, because now it is the era of MOOCs and these type of facility available, we have already signed agreement with the Coursera, and we are going to sign a big agreement with Coursera. They will be providing us total their whatever resources they have available. Similarly, we are working with agreement with the Microsoft and few other those type of facility like Khan Academy and other people. And we are going to provide a dashboard through which all those facilities, those courses, whether they are technology-based courses, whether they are the entrepreneurship, business-based courses, or subject-related courses, we are going to provide those things. Government is going to pay for that, and we will be providing them free of cost to our students.
All right.
So that we should, and I'm also suggesting universities that they should slowly move toward the blended system of learning. They should go for hybrid system. They should also use these courses, get them approved from their academic courses, so that if the faculty is not available, use these courses as the tool and give them online courses and evaluate them and give them the credit accordingly.
Dr. Saab, this is one thing that the HEC provides for all the courses, updates its courses and gives the necessary tools and equipment for the people to learn. It is another thing to convince the youth to come and study the required skill set or to come and study point blank, because the Article 25A of the Constitution talks about the fundamental education right of every child from age 5 to 16. But a lot of people do not get themselves educated for reasons that could be personal or reasons that could be societal. How important do you feel is also the projection that the HEC is giving through its different hybrid setups for the education to reach the households?
It might seem as strange, but convincing youth is not a problem. They are already in this field. They are ahead of time, basically. It is the convincing of old people like me who are teachers there that you have to change. So it is basically a different challenge we are facing. The conventional system of, because we have used to have those things, a typical whiteboard or blackboard chalk system, our previous notes or something like that. So my challenge is to convince them that they have to transform themselves and make the change so that they should be part of the changing environment. Youth is already there. So there is no problem as far as the youth is concerned.
You talked about, the teachers and people of a certain age who used to a certain type of teaching methodology, and that they need to update that methodology as well. In all of that methodology, what is also extremely important is transparency and merit. I understand the last time we talked also, we highlighted that was one of your important functionalities to ensure merit and transparency in the HEC. How important is that right now in this day and age also for Pakistan?
Still it is very important, and it should be important. But the more we will go to technology, the transparency will emerge. But same time, it is human psychology. When you prepare something, to break this thing, people are already available, they are ready. But this is a part of this whole process, and inshallah we will ensure that things are proper, transparent. Of course, we have to address a challenge that our assessment mechanism should be evolved properly, because assessment online education is a totally different dynamics.
All right.
So we have to let it learn. We have to teach our faculty and all those people that how to assess people based on those blended learning mechanism or online learning mechanism. So that will be a challenge, but we will overcome those challenges. We have already organized. We are organizing some courses. We have requested some foreign collaborators that provide us skilled manpower. So they should have those courses from our learning innovation, and also NAHI, that is another program we are offering, through which we will be offering all such courses to our faculty to upgrade their skills so that they can cascade back to their institution for other faculty members.
Dr. Saab, you've always been very forward thinking as far as the ways you have implemented the different sets of skills for the teachers or for the students that you've implemented through different programs in the HEC. What are those programs that are in the pipeline that you'd like to maybe highlight to our viewers that the HEC is coming up with in the coming weeks and months?
My job is to plug different resources available in Pakistan and abroad to our academia, to our university, so they should start taking benefit of this. We have established a separate department of global engagement within HEC, and I have given the senior most person the responsibility that he should head that department. And I'm already, and mashallah, a lot of good institutions and even the countries, last week Chinese ambassador, Excellency, visited my office. French ambassador visited. Other people, they are interested to work with us. Hungary has already doubled the scholarship. They were 200 per year. Now our Chief of Army Staff went there, and they have doubled them. And now 400 they are offering us. So a lot of good opportunities coming. And my job is as a facilitator to plug those things with our institution, with our different private, public, both institution, and ask them to utilize us. Similarly, now Japanese industrialists, they were here last week, and they're very much interested to look for the IT people, IT engineer from Pakistan. And they were telling me by 2030, they need 800,000 IT engineer in Japan only.
All right.
And now they are before coming here, I was meeting one group of Japanese, and they have offered that they want to set up Japan center in different universities in Pakistan. They have already established one in NUST. Now they are looking toward the GIK, UET Lahore, FAS, and ComSet. And again, we are bringing more and more. So they should go to different university, and our university should start changing their ecosystem rather than conventional teaching to presence of industry, presence of R&D organization, and learning, of course, teaching and learning, so that it should be a beautiful ecosystem through which they should complement each other.
This is a very interesting word, ecosystem, that you use, Dr. Saab. How does the HEC oversee this change in the ecosystem that you propose to all the leading universities in Pakistan to adapt themselves to the new technologies?
You know, if we go like we always dream, dreaming good is always important. So inshallah, I'm very hopeful that we have the potential. We have very energetic young people in Pakistan. We have the ecosystem. We have the facilitation. Government is willing to facilitate it. If our academia, our universities, our researchers, they should learn to work together. This is the biggest, again, another issue, that in isolation we are wonderful. But when it is coming to teamwork, then we have some problems. So something is wrong in our hardware and software. We have to readjust it. And if we can work like a team, I think the next 4 to 5 years, we should be a different Pakistan, inshallah.
All right, Dr. Saab, when it comes to the resolve to educating more and more people, children, young adults are more inclined, as you said, towards getting education and the required skill sets. But a lot of children who want to become, who want to do something of their future, do not get the required guidance. Does the HEC put on some kind of procedures, yes, in order to convince those children to become better adults and to get the required skill sets or education for them to become better and more productive members of the society?
We have very good now, slowly our system has evolved, good education system, especially in higher education sector. But still one big issue is pending there. Where are the good human beings? You know, I always request my universities that we have to focus on this part also. We have very good engineer, technologists, doctor, businessman, business student, lawyers. But where are the good people in 230 million people here in Pakistan? So that is the responsibility of not only education institution, that is the social responsibility, starting from home. Parents need to give good time to their kids. Not only that they are putting them in a good high school and giving them iPad or iPhone and good car. They need to do more to make them a good human being and a good citizen of Pakistan. Similarly, the social network, the imam, the teacher, everybody is the responsible for this transformation, the social change basically. If we really, and we have to do it because it is already so much damage has been done. The tolerance level is minus now in Pakistan. Everybody think whatever he or she say is the final thing. If anybody just make a comment or even just cross the line, and you see what is happening in social media. So this is again.
Only for that, education is the basic tool that can make people understand.
Only education, yeah, education. No doubt in this thing. But right education.
That is so true. And speaking of education, you highlighted a little bit in the beginning, but what are the key reforms that have been taken in the education sector and are going to be taken in the education sector?
See, last 20 years, mashallah, this sector has grown fast. We have good numbers basically. Of course, many initiatives were wonderful. We have done good job. In few initiatives, I think we might have to rethink. We should have done better than this. And in still few, I think, initiative, we might have to restructure it. So that is the reason I have already requested to my universities, my HEC people, folks, and my other stakeholders that this is the, I think, time we have to go back and sit on drawing board and review what have we achieved in the last 20 years. And keeping in view the technology and other transformation which are going to happen or they are happening in the world, what should we do now different and how should we move forward in a fast track so that we should catch up with the rest of the world. And I have given them target that we have to plan now for 2050. 5-year plan is very short nowadays. Quickly this finish, and sometime people are not there. The next person come, they say, no, this is bad thing. We have to do something, start new one. So I told my colleagues, we have to work now on 2050 at least, or even 2000, whatever 3 years. So we for at least 100 year or 50 year, we should plan something, and leave this thing for the rest people who will be coming after us. So they should see that what was the dream we have dreamed, and now they should go up.
And you've always been a dreamer, Dr. Saab. Even the last time when I talked to you, we've discussed so many different challenges and how you've worked towards addressing those challenges. Finally, Dr. Saab, how important is an institution, an organization like the Higher Education Commission for a country such as Pakistan?
I think if you go around and see the world, they have progressed, they have improved, they have innovated the world based on education only. I wish in Pakistan we should not only talk about the importance of education in a photo session, it should be a real one.
True.
And all stakeholders, including the society, including the private sector and the government, they have to focus on this thing. Look at Korea. They have kept the education at the top, and three deputy prime minister. That one is in education and science and technology. So we have to give priority to education. It should not be seen as the donor-dependent sector in Pakistan. These are our kids. We have to invest on them. We have to spend money on them. We have to arrange resources for them. And because I always worry, and whenever I talk to different ministry, I said, my problem is for next 20 years, our kids are already born who will be entering in the university system. Even today, if you control the like China birth rate in Pakistan, still those kids are already born which will be coming to university in next 22 years. So we have to work on this area. We have to arrange more facilitation, but not compromising on quality.
That is so true. Never compromising on quality, as you've never done in the past. Well, Dr. Mukhtar Ahmed Saab, Chairman HEC, thank you so very much to have joined us, to have talked to us. And it was a pleasure seeing you after a long time. And I'm sure that under your able guidance, the HEC is going to go really stronger and stronger in the coming weeks, months and years. And we are going to see a robust Pakistan and the education sector of Pakistan under your guidance. Thank you very much, Dr. Saab, to have joined us. Coming to our last two stories, ladies and gentlemen, very quickly. The first, of course, is the Foreign Office that has rebuked the Indian Foreign Minister's comment that has implied Pakistan's involvement in terrorism. Now, the Foreign Office today has rejected the Indian External Affairs Minister, Mr. Jaishankar's remarks that insinuated that Pakistan was involved in international terrorism. The news outlet, The Hindu, quoted Jaishankar. He was speaking to at an event in Vadodara city on Saturday. He said no other country practices terrorism in the way that Pakistan has done. He also said that Jaishankar quoted India as being an expert in information technology and Pakistan as an expert in international terrorism. The Foreign Office, in its response in a press release, has said that this is yet another manifestation of the Indian leaders' obsession to correct facts with respect to terrorism for misleading the international community. The Foreign Office has also given examples of how India is involved in international terrorism and terrorism within Pakistan, quoting also people like Kulbhushan Yadav as a serving Indian naval officer and intelligence operative who was involved in planning and supporting and abetting and executing terrorist activities within Pakistan. So, of course, the reaction from the Foreign Office has been robust and has been quite right in the right direction to let the world community know that Pakistan is at the right place and doing the right things. It is India that is in fact misleading the world as far as Pakistan is concerned. And finally, we'll take you to Indonesia, where the government has ordered police to identify, punish the stadium disaster perpetrators as anger mounts within the public in Indonesia. As you very well know, there was a stampede in a stadium when two rivals were playing a match, and as a result of that, due to this stampede, around 125 people were killed and 353 people were injured. Now, the anger has mounted within the public as to why this was not controlled properly. There was also anger against the police, and the way the police reacted to all of this using tear gas is also something that has been really put the people at outrage. And the Indonesian government said that it is going to take the necessary measures in order to prevent any such incident from happening in the future. Nevertheless, this is a very, very sad incident, and not only within Indonesia, also outside of Indonesia, there has been a lot of condemnation. World Football United has also mourned the tragedy. Spanish clubs have held a minute's silence, and top teams across Europe have sent their condolences online. Also, the world's governing football body, FIFA's president Gianni Infantino, has called the tragedy a dark day for football, but stopped short of calling for any action by the authorities. Our hearts are with our Indonesian brothers, and we hope that swift justice comes to those who have been affected by it, and the perpetrators are taken to task. With that, we come to the end of today's newsroom. We'll see you inshallah tomorrow with new stories, segments that pertain to you, us in Pakistan. We are in a crisis-like situation because of the floods, ladies and gentlemen. Try to help those in need directly or indirectly. There are different sources. We have the government, we have the NGOs, we have the private sector, we have individuals, philanthropists who are trying their level best to help those in need. Try to help them directly or indirectly. That is how Pakistan can become stronger. Allah Hafiz.